Good morning, guys. It's early this morning. The farm's just now coming awake. It's daylight. There's fog everywhere, but I gotta take advantage of this time. So this morning I'm gonna be harvesting a lot of our leftover crops. So I'm gonna bring you guys along with me. The first thing on our list this morning is the cherry tomatoes. These plants we thought were dead. They got completely taken over by weeds. But this fall, once the weather started cooling down, they've like extended runners and basically walked their little way right out into the driveway. So we've been driving around these, but it's gonna be getting cold soon. So I wanna take advantage of it. And I wanna pick all of these little green cherry tomatoes and get them into the freezer so that I can make some green salsa verde later this season when everything starts to slow down and it cools down and I'm able to just like get into the kitchen and get some stuff made up. Now this ended up being a lot more cherry tomatoes than I thought it was going to be. So I may end up putting some green tomato poppers in the freezer as well. That's going to be a lot of green salsa, so I may have to figure out another way to use these up. Now I'm over in our fall garden for what I planted. I got some squash, some patty pans, and yellowneck, and I've also got some volunteer daikon radishes that came up from seed from last year, I'm assuming, because we didn't plant any this year. But I'm going to harvest some of these and I'll show you what we got. These guys are huge, but not only can we use the radish part, all of this green up here is edible too. So I'll probably cut it up, wash it real good, and use it as a cooked down green. These here are the bloomed out daikon radish tops. And if you look really closely, you can see that they have these little seed pods. This is what I'm assuming happened last year. These fell to the ground and produced more, but these little guys, they're edible. Bon appetit. They taste like a radish or a turnip. Now let's go into the jungle. We've got some yellow squash. Let's get this picked. And now we have the massive jungle that is the patty pans. We absolutely love these. We grew them first time last year and I use them for everything. Well, so far I've got my little bucket of cherry green tomatoes. I've got my white patty pans, the yellow straight neck squash, and the daikon radishes, and the greens. So now I'm gonna head over to the green bean patch and see what I can get there. While we're walking, welcome to my dogtake forest. It looks like a tropical rainforest here. These are castor beans, and they're literally everywhere. One thing about green bean vines is they itch me to death. Does that happen with anybody else? So it's kind of like the world's worst scavenger hunt when the vines hit you to death. Yeah, somehow I got into the pokeberries. Ugh. We have a lot of these purple green beans as well, but a lot of them got way too big, so I think we're just gonna leave them on the vines and let them dry so that we can use them as seed for next year. But look at this. I've got green beans growing up this jog tick all the way to the top. Hey, it works as long as I can reach them. We still have blooms in these green beans and teeny tiny babies, so we still should have green beans coming on until the frost kills all these vines back. That's a lot of green beans. Last but not least, we're gonna go through this next row and we're gonna pick the noodle beans. These things are pretty cool. We grew these for the first time last year and we absolutely love them. I like to just simply cook them down in some butter and some garlic powder, salt, pepper, onion powder, and they are amazing. We get the biggest ones and we'll leave these smaller guys like these. These are the young immature ones. In a couple days these guys will be big enough to pick too. They grow really fast. They're kind of, the wild morning glories are kind of taking over. There you go. Noodle beans. These are also known as snake beans, some people call them. See? Noodle beans. We grew 2 different types, and the funny thing is, on the green ones, the tips are purple, and on the purple ones, the tips are green. The blooms on these guys are gorgeous. Now we're moving on down to the purple ones. There's not as many of them, I don't think. There's some on here that must have got left from last time, and they're way too big. They get really tough once they get too big to eat, but we're just gonna leave those ones on the vine and let them dry out, and those will be our seed for next year. Now here's a good example of those we've left to go to seed. These are huge. These are way too big to eat, so we're gonna let these dry out and that'll be what we plant next year. We're gonna get a nice little harvest from these again. And again, these will still be producing, still be going strong until we get our first frost. I'm gonna get a close-up of the end of this. See? It's green. I just find that crazy that the purple ones have green tips and the green ones have purple tips. I just thought that was funny. One of the differences in the purple ones as well is the skin's a little bit tougher. The green ones are really smooth, but you can't really tell once you cook them up. I spent about an hour out here this morning, and this is what I got. I've got noodle beans, green cherry tomatoes, I've got green beans, my Diakins, my patty pans, and my yellowneck squash. Now that I have everything picked and harvested, my plan is to wash everything up. I'm going to put the patty pans and the squash in the freezer. I can use that in stir fries. I can use it in, I've also made a mashed potato substitute or throw them into soups. Overlook the goats, they hear me out here. They think I'm talking to them, but or they're ready for breakfast, either one. But anyway, I'm going to put the green beans, I'm going to blanch those and get them in the freezer. I'm going to cook down the greens on the tops of the radishes, and I'm probably just going to like have greens. We really like that. It's not something that we've eaten a lot of, but I've gotten like a craving for it here lately in the last few years. And then the radishes themselves, I may make either a fermented radish, or I've considered maybe pickling them. Haven't made up my mind just yet on that, but thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to come back. We have more content coming up soon. Have a good day.